Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to call this regular meeting of the City of Pasco Code Enforcement Board to order. These proceedings are being presented live on PSC-TV cable channel 191 and will be rebroadcast throughout the following month. The Code Enforcement Board conducts public meetings to hear issues regarding alleged violations of the city code, in particular property maintenance standards. For those present, if you're given an opportunity to address the Code Board tonight, we ask you to speak clearly into the microphone at the podium. State your name and address for the record, and I'd like to request if you brought a cell phone tonight, you turn it off. We will now have roll call.
Mr. Dwayne Spear.
Present.
Mr. Daniel Gottschalk.
Present.
Mr. James Rawlinson.
Present.
We have 3 members present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. The next item of business on tonight's agenda is the approval of the minutes from the June 6th, 2019 meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
I move that the minutes of the June 6, 2019 meeting of the Code Enforcement Board be approved as mailed.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Do we accept the minutes as mailed? Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Do we have cases tonight?
Yes, sir. We have one case.
Okay, very good. We will now hear cases scheduled for July 11th, 2019 at 7 p.m. for alleged violations of the Pasco Municipal Code. The City of Pasco is a petitioner. Property owners and their authorized representatives here to address the city's charges are the respondents. The purpose of these hearings is to determine whether the city, by a preponderance of the evidence, has proven that the violation charged has occurred upon certain properties owned or controlled by the respondents, and if so, whether the required corrective action is reasonable and whether a monetary penalty is appropriate. The hearing procedures are as follows. First, the chair will open the hearing, which is being recorded. To ensure the accuracy of testimony, each person who will be testifying tonight shall be sworn to truthfulness. Second, the city has a burden of proof and shall present its case, including any witnesses and exhibits that are relevant to the case. The respondents may cross-examine the city and the city's witnesses. Third, the respondents shall present their case, including any witnesses and exhibits that are relevant to the case. The city may cross-examine the respondents' witnesses. Fourth, the city will have the opportunity for rebuttal of the respondents' evidence raised in their case, and the respondent may answer the city's rebuttal. Fifth, after all the evidence is in the record, the hearing will be closed. Remember, this is the only opportunity to present evidence in your case tonight. And then finally, the board members will then discuss the charges, facts, and evidence presented, render a decision, and a copy of the decision will be mailed to all parties within 10 working days of the hearing.
Mr. Chair, we're ready to hear tonight's cases. Before we begin, will you please explain the procedure for providing testimony and swear in all city staff, respondents, and any other witnesses who have appeared here to offer testimony?
Yeah, I sure will. Testimony can only be received at the microphone. When you address the board, please state your name and address at the beginning of your testimony. If you have any written material you wish to be considered, please present them to be marked as an exhibit. It will become part of the hearing record. Are there any questions about the procedures tonight at all? We're good? Okay. Are there any objections to any member of this board hearing your matter due to your belief that any one of us may have a conflict of interest or the appearance of one? And if so, indicate that objection now or it will be considered waived. Okay. We will now swear in the witnesses who will testify for the proceedings tonight. Would all city staff, respondents, witnesses, anybody that's going to come up and talk to us, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you promise to tell the truth in these proceedings? If so, please respond, I do. I do. Thank you. You may be seated. The city will now present the first case.
Mr. Chair, our first case is CEB 2019-0620. Ms. Johnson, will you please present your case?
The property known as 820 South 5th Avenue has been inspected numerous times since March 11th, 2015. Our correction notice was issued under case number CEB 2015-0287 on March 11th, 2015 due to the owner not having a residential rental license and renting out an illegally converted shed in the rear of the property. The owner, Margarita Martinez, notified the code officer of the case that her cousin was living in the house and she wasn't collecting any rent and that the rear structure was only used for overnight guests. The owner stated that she had been living in Mexico for the last 2 years and would have someone available to grant access to the property. The shed was inspected and found to be occupied and converted to a bedroom, small living area and kitchen. The bathroom was added to the rear of the main house. The shed was later vacated, a rental license was obtained, and the case was closed without penalty. A notice to vacate under case number CEB 2017-0296 was issued on March 23, 2017 due to the rear shed again being rented as a dwelling unit. Mrs. Martinez applied for a demolition permit for the shed and shop on the property and an application for the addition of the bathroom in the main house. No inspections were completed for this permit. A correction notice was issued on June 27th, 2017 under case number CEB 2017-1385 for dilapidated shop, dilapidated roof on the shed, no permit for the rear fence, weeds, and failure to maintain landscaping and parking on the front yard. Ms. Martinez did not respond, so a notice of civil violation was issued. The property was sold on a personal contract on August 22nd, 2017, which caused these cases to be closed without penalty. The rental license was closed out due to sale of the home and it being owner-occupied. A violation notice was issued to the new property owner, Jose Luis Serratos, on November 6, 2017, due to failure to correct outstanding code violations. Permits were obtained by Mr. Serratos as required by the permits expired, but the permits expired without work being completed. New applications were submitted for the work by Mr. Serratos, but the property was reclaimed by Mrs. Martinez on October 30th, 2018, before those permits were issued. A repeat notice of civil violation was issued to Mrs. Martinez on March 4th, 2019, under case number CEB 2019-0226 for failure to correct previously cited violations and based on a complaint that new renters were moving into the house. On March 21st, 2019, Mrs. Martinez called to notify me that she moved into the house and no longer lives in Kennewick, which was on the assessor's record. On March 27th, 2019, she called to notify me she had been in the hospital and then went to Oregon to be with her daughter, so she hadn't been able to submit her permit application. She said she would send a friend to submit it for her. She updated her mailing address with the assessor's record to that of this property at 820 South 5th Avenue in Pasco, nullifying the requirement for a rental license, as it was supposedly owner-occupied. No further communication was received from Mrs. Martinez after this date. A permit was issued for demolition of the shop and re-roofing the shed on May 6, 2019, but there was no permit for interior improvements in the shed, addition of a bathroom in the house, and she failed to secure a rental license. Penalties accrued in the amount of $2,200. A second repeat notice of civil violation was issued on June 11th, 2019. The property owner was legally notified on June 11th, 2019 via process server of the conditions which I believe to be second repeat violations of the Pasco Municipal Code. Mrs. Martinez called on July 2nd, 2019 to request more time because she was driving to Iowa and would not be back in time for the hearing. She said that the lady living in the house moved people into the rear shed, so she requested everyone move out and that she has sold the house but does not have the paperwork yet. On July 7th, 2019, I received multiple voicemails from Mrs. Martinez stating her contractor would start work next week. The shed is empty, the lady in the house is moving, and that once the work is done, she will sell the house and move to Oregon. On July 10th, 2019, I called Mrs. Martinez to ask for permission to walk on the property and go into the shed to verify everything is vacant. I verified that all persons had moved out of the house and shed, but none of the improvements had been removed. I tried calling Mrs. Martinez back but could not reach her. I spoke with her hired contractor, Arnold Ramos, and notified him of the remaining permit requirements and verified his appearance at the hearing on behalf of Mrs. Martinez. I have supplied the board with pictures of the original and the current property conditions with the date clearly marked. Based on the final inspection of the property, which was completed on July 10th, 2019, it is my opinion that the property is not in compliance at this time. The City of Pasco recommends that Margarita Martinez shall pay $400 for a second repeat penalty, be given 10 days to obtain a rental license for the main house, apply for a building permit to remove or permit the improvements in the shed and the conversion of a second bathroom in the house to a laundry room, add a fence to the rear property line, and obtain required electrical permits from Labor and Industries for all modifications to the shed and house wiring, or pay a penalty of $500 per day for 10 days.
All right, thank you. Who'd like to be heard in this case? Would you like to be heard in this case, sir?
I believe so.
All right, come on up. We appreciate you coming. If you would just get close to the microphone there and state your name and address for the record, please.
Arnold Ramos, owner of Barnes Construction. So I got a phone call saying these items need to be done. As a contractor, I go look at them, I bid them, and pull the permits. So with that said, had no idea the history, what's going on here. She asked me to be here tonight. She said, it's your fault, you didn't pull the permits. I messaged her the copy of the permits, told her, hey, this is what I pulled, this is what you asked me to pull. and here I am today. So, not sure where it is. She's selling the house again. So I don't know how that works. Got a message saying we were going to pull the permits, but they wanted to do the work. That if I pull the permits, I will be doing whatever work needs to be done on the property. Again, I was only aware that I was there to demolish the shop-looking pole building, that one. Demolish that one. After talking to Troy, it was going to be less expensive for me to knock it down than to rebuild it or rehab it. I agreed. And then the other one was to re-roof that little unit they got in the back. So I don't know what modifications the prior owners, the renters, what they've done. I'm just here because she asked me to, and I need to pull the permits needed to do whatever work to get it up to code.
Okay, so that's your job?
That
Is it
is-
you're going to, so you've pulled some permits already, or you
I
haven't?
have. I pulled 2 permits. One was for the roof and the other one's for the demo. But just like I explained to her, this time of year, I don't know there's a contractor that can get off what he's doing and go do this job. I told her what she was telling me, if I need to pull the other permits, I can't get to it. I mean, I've got people that are counting on me to
Oh, yeah.
do the job that I promised them. So I've got to put her in line as soon as I can.
Well, it's been going on for a while.
By the sounds of it,
Yeah.
you're right. And so, again, my hands are tied as far as when I can get over there.
Right.
I spoke with Rosanna, and I told her, well, it depends what happens that night. Either she's going to pay me a lot of money or she's going to pay you guys.
Yeah.
Because for me to drop what I'm doing, I just can't do it right away. So, I guess what is the fix? What can we do? How much time do we have? That way I can prepare my guys and what we need to do to take care of this place. I don't know if I've ever looked inside these. I just took pictures myself as, driving outside on what needs to be done. But apparently there is a lot more than what I was told as far as you need to pull the permits and fix the roof and tear down the shed. I said, okay, I can do that.
Now, do you believe Mrs. Martinez is going to go ahead and okay this work?
Well,
The
I don't,
extra work that,
I don't know if she has a choice at this point. I will say this is she was ready to deposit some funds on my account as soon as I tell her how much it was going to be. And so she's ready to do the work, and I can get over there and do the work, but it's got to be in a timely manner where I'm still look professional to the previous homeowners where we're working at now. So I'd hate for me doing a job for you guys and I say, hey, I got to go. And that just doesn't
Right.
work.
Okay, let me understand, what permits are you talking about exactly?
Let me see if I understand your question.
You said pull permits, I assume that means obtain permits. Which permits to do what? Exactly.
Are you asking about the permits that I pulled already or the permits that need to be pulled?
Well, I'm reading here, the city says there needs to be a building permit and an electrical permit.
Well,
Are those, is that
well,
what
let's
you're
start
talking
with
about?
let's start with the permits I pulled. There shouldn't be an electrical permit needed because one is to demolish the demolish the pole building looking thing, and the other one's to re-roof that little shed. That's the permits I have pulled so far. That's all that I was aware of.
Okay, I don't believe that's what the city's asking for.
I don't, after learning tonight and the phone calls, that's not what the city is looking to get done. So let me see if I understand the question. What permits will I obtain?
I was just trying to understand what you said you had permits done. And I was trying to understand what those permits were for.
Okay. Again, one is to demolish that, I'm gonna call it a pole building, demolish that pole building.
Okay.
And the other is to re-roof that little shed, one back.
Okay.
So that's the permits that I pulled.
We are now requesting additional permits, not now requesting, this has been on all of the notices previously as well, but she is not recognized that, even though we have had multiple conversations over these notices over the last 4 years. So the shed has numerous improvements in it. We have walls, we have some plumbing in there, we have electrical work, there's heaters. It has been rented out numerous times, even after we've posted notices to vacate and notified her it cannot be used for a rental dwelling unit. We're requesting either the shed be demolished or all of the interior improvements be removed, which requires a permit. There was a secondary bathroom added to the back of the house, and that one is supposedly now converted to a laundry room. This is the picture on the right, and we have a new electrical panel in there with no L&I stickers. So that will also need a permit, an electrical permit, and a permit for the conversion from a laundry room or a storage room to a bathroom and then back to a laundry room.
Okay, I think I
And
understand.
then a fence at the rear of the property.
That's a fair amount of work.
So by the sounds of it, I need to pull a permit for several more items.
Yeah,
And she kept mentioning 10 days.
yeah.
I don't know how long the city will go with before I get a permit, as far as if I submit it tomorrow morning, how long is that gonna be? Is it gonna be next day? I mean,
I'm requesting that the application be submitted within 10 days.
so,
So it goes through a review process.
Correct.
As long as you have it
Correct.
submitted within the next 10 days, then that portion would be in compliance.
Correct.
For those
Very
remaining
good.
items.
okay, so let's just say 10 days, I'm gonna need a little bit more time to do the improvements. Now, she did say, I need to get through this because I'm selling the house. So, am I gonna do all the work? I don't know if she's gonna want me to do all the work if she's selling the house. I don't know until I talk to her again. Again, I told her, well, I'll call you tomorrow morning once I go and hear what's going on. I'm educated. I know I got to get in the city and pull other permits. As a contractor, I got to protect myself and say, this is my account number. This is my bank number. As soon as some funds are deposited, absolutely. Her being in Mexico, I got to protect myself. Yeah. So once that is, I'll pull the permits and try to bring this up to code.
Well, what we're talking about is, just so you have a dollar figure in mind here, the city is talking about you get an initial fine of $400.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then if these corrections are not done within 10 days, the next 10 days would be $500 a day.
And that's not exactly what they're asking for. They're asking for the permits to be applied for within 10 days.
Oh, just applied for?
Yes,
Oh. We just got it, we don't know if that's gonna all happen or not then.
that's
Right.
correct.
Okay.
Right. As soon as
So
it shoots
I-
a dollar amount, she may turn it down.
Right, so it's not gonna kill me to pull permits, so if I get in there and I say, hey, Troy, good morning, I need to pull the permits for these items. So as soon as I pull those permits, she is in compliance?
She needs to have, you need the building permit. There also
Correct.
has to be an L&I electrical permit for the electrical modifications that have been made in the shed and that panel that's brand new in the bathroom at the back of the house. Any other wiring that might be in there. And a rental license for the property, which she would need to apply for as the owner of the house.
So did we not say that it was vacant now?
It is vacant at the moment, but she has rented it numerous times after stating it was vacant in the past. My issue is that this is going on for a year. She sold the house twice now with active permits, not done any of the work. We had her change the the address on the assessor's record with her not living at the property, claiming it was no longer a rental, and moved people into the house and the shed. So I am requiring a rental license, whether it's vacant or not at this time, unless she provides proof of sale contract to me.
Okay, so my job here tonight is to get in there, pull permits tomorrow. And I will have to find a licensed contractor to go in there and do his thing to get him over there by tomorrow morning and give me a price to pull a permit. Because, I mean, homeowner can pull a permit. She's not around. I can't count on her to pull a permit and find somebody. So with that said, I can get the permits. I can't guarantee most of the permits I can pull. I can be there tomorrow morning and pull those. L&I permit, you can do it online as a homeowner, but I'll have to make some calls and get somebody to pull a permit. So that, I mean, it could be taken care of. You say it could be the next 10 days and we'll be in compliance? Is that right?
That portion.
Potentially.
Okay. And I can't do the rental license. That's something.
Unless she provides you authorization to apply for the rental license on her behalf.
Ooh, how do I
If-
get that authorization?
She could email it to you. She could email it to us saying that you have authorization to apply for it, and we would accept that, but we need a copy of her driver's license, photo ID, as
think-
proof of owner.
Let me write that down because I won't forget.
Okay.
So we need her to driver's license.
And authorization for you to apply for a rental license.
And what does the authorization look like?
An email stating that you have
Email.
permission to apply for a rental license on her behalf for the specified address. Which would also require a rental inspection be completed, which could be done within 10 days, but we would just need authorization to go on the property to complete that inspection from her.
Okay, so
Authorization.
now I'm just, mine's thinking, she gives me authorization, show you the email, her license. I pull a renter's rental license. You go inspect it, and there's nobody living there.
We inspect vacant houses quite often
Yeah?
that have rental
Okay.
licenses. Mhm.
That's good to know, because I have a rental that I don't have anybody in there. So,
Okay.
anyway, with that said, I can pull the permits as soon as possible, maybe tomorrow, the latest Monday or Tuesday, and I'll get on the phone and see if, I don't know what the timeline is where she's at now, but voicemails has been the way to communicate her. Leave a voicemail, she calls me back, leaves me a voicemail. So anyway, with that said, I can have most of that stuff taken care of in the next few days.
Okay, but my question is, what if you shoot her the price to do all the work, and she says no?
Then I pull the permits, and then I call the city and said, I no longer need to have these permits.
Okay, how long do you think you would need to get her permission and funds transferred to you to show good faith?
Probably next week.
So
Are we in
we
still
were to say
compliance?
10 days?
Well, of course, I'm going on vacation Monday, so,
Mr. Rawlinson, it would have to be within 10 days.
Yeah.
within 10 days.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, so that would be plenty of time, 10 business days to, for me to say yay or nay, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, because I don't want her to tell you yes and then call you back and say no, and
Right.
you pulled the permits,
Right.
and now we're back to square one
Right.
again.
So 10 days is sufficient enough time for me to pull the permits and get what Rosanna is asking. Rosanna, and then 10 days we'll have a definite answer, whether I'm going to do it or not. So,
All right, sounds good. Anything else?
no, it's pretty interesting.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you. You can go ahead and have a seat.
All right, thank you.
There be no further evidence to be presented. I determine the record complete. The hearing is now closed. No additional evidence will be permitted. The board will now discuss the charges, facts, and evidence presented, then we will render our decision. First off, do we agree by a preponderance of the evidence the city has proven that a violation of the Pasco Municipal Code has occurred? And may I have a motion, please?
I move that the board, having heard the case and facts presented, and by preponderance of the evidence presented, find the respondent in violation of the Pasco Municipal Code.
Is there a
Second.
Been moved and seconded. What would you like to do?
I'll go with city.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
seems
go with
like-
the city
yeah.
and give them the
Yeah.
10 days, and,
Yeah, from when he gets it, so,
yeah.
yeah, so it gives him a couple extra days in there.
We didn't pass the motion yet.
Oh, sorry. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. The motion carries. Sorry. I'm already thinking ahead. Okay.
Yeah, I move that Ms. Margarita Martinez pay $400 for a second repeat penalty and be given 10 days to obtain a rental license for the main house, apply for a building permit to remove or the improvements in the shed and the conversion of a second bathroom in the house to a laundry room, add a fence along the rear property line, and obtain required electrical permits from Labor and Industries for all modifications to the shed and house wiring, or pay a penalty of $500 per day for up to 10 days.
Second.
On the question,
No.
did you say 10 days to remove the improvements? Because I think he has 10 days to either remove or obtain a building permit and have them inspected.
Regardless, he'll have
Says
to.
to
have a permit.
apply or remove.
Okay,
To apply for the building permit to remove or the improvement done.
okay.
Second?
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. All right, we're going to go with the city's recommendation. You'll get your 10 days, probably even a couple extra days there. It's from when you get the official notice in the mail, or when she does that. Our copy of the decision will be mailed. Thank you for participation in the hearing tonight. Mr. Ramos, thanks for coming. Do we have any more cases on the agenda?
No, sir.
Okay. Do we have any amendments or dismissals to the resolution? And may we have a motion?
I move that the board approve Resolution 2019-7 as amended, finding that code violations have been corrected and may be dismissed, deferring action on certain cases until proper notification is made, accepting voluntary correction agreements, and assessing penalties and imposing timeframes on certain cases.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. We accept the resolution as amended. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Do we have a report from staff tonight?
No, sir.
All right. Is there any other business?
No, sir.
There being no further business before the Pasco Code Enforcement Board, this meeting is declared adjourned at 7:27.